let's get the show started. I will say a big good morning, and again, just get a wave from everyone real quick. Excellent. So super easy. We will be talking to people a lot, so I would encourage to have you turn your videos on. That's my strong encouragement there, just because we'll be doing a lot of group work. You've heard me say this a few times already this week. If it's not your first session here this week, if you are eating something right now, do feel free to, not turn your video on for the moment. We're not trying to turn it into a Korean mukbang. Mukbang is those TV shows where you watch people eat. They are intriguing, but not necessarily what we want this early in the morning in Hong Kong. A couple other technical notes. I would strongly encourage you to go to full screen with me. How do you do that? Upper right-hand corner, click speaker view, or click on my video and there's a little 3-dot menu. A drop down comes and it's going to say pin this video. That'll make me go full screen. Again, not for my pure vanity, because then you can actually see the text here. And again, if your video is not working, don't worry. We're not like, dogmatic about that. It's encouraged, but not required, especially with big group sessions. What else? I'd encourage you to hide your speaker view. It's just a best practice because looking at ourselves tends to create a lot of cognitive dissonance. How do you do that? Hover over your own video, 3-dot menu in the upper right-hand corner. Again, it'll be up there somewhere. And there'll be an option to hide self-view. It's really strongly recommended to do that. Simple as that. So without further ado, let me give you the world's briefest self-introduction, which some of you have now heard for the 5th time this week. So bear with me. It's only 10 seconds long. What I'd like to start with actually is one of my favorite quotes. And so this is a quote that I love by Cheryl Branham. In-person communication resembles video conferencing about as much as real blueberry muffins resemble a packaged blueberry muffin that contains not a single blueberry, but artificial flavors, textures, and preservatives. You eat too many, and you're not going to feel very good. Our goal today is to figure out virtually how can we make better blueberry muffins. My name is Josh or Joshua, either one. This is a 90-minute session. If you need to leave off early, there will be a video recording of all this. I also do stick around for 30 minutes to 1 hour after the session, basically until people run out of questions. So very happy to. We will be running future free events coming up, like in a month or so. So this is not the end of the road here. Please do feel free to add us on LinkedIn, download the free book, get our free toolkit. Free is the big word here. We're not sales pitching anything to you. And there's also a free online class that takes you through all of this stuff. So it's all there, it's all free, and it's going to remain free forever and ever, or at least until my hosting package runs out at some point in the future. World's briefest intro. I am from Hawaii originally, long time. No C for Hawaii though. 20 years outside the States now, based in Hawaii. Actually spent them, based in Hawaii, based in Hong Kong. I know where I am. It's Friday, you can tell. Based in Hong Kong, but I actually spent the most time based in Korea. Anyone speak Korean here? Raise your hand if you speak Korean. 안녕하세요. Oh yeah, Jordan, Kojima. 잘 지냈어요, Jordan? He's speaking Korean silently. 네, 너무 좋아요. 정말요. So we're going to do the session in Korean for the rest of the session. And I was originally on the research side. I was faculty at Yonsei. For the last 12 years, we've been on the corporate side. We mostly work with Fortune 100s. Last year, we did this in 24 countries, et cetera, et cetera. This year, more virtually, but none of that matters. Today, what matters is this workshop, and this is my favorite because this is our laboratory workshop today. This is the day where I guarantee some things will break because we're really going to be experimenting with what is possible in Miro, etc. It is Miro. Anyone who's pronouncing it Miro, I can officially say you are wrong. How do I know that? Because they finally posted it in the community forums with an official question. How do you pronounce it? And they're like, it's Miro. It's Miro. Stop calling it Miro. So anyways, it's Miro. Just deal. If you like Miro better, that's all right. And the core questions we're looking at today is how can we actually use the space to shape conversation? So this virtual space. How can we use the space to open the conversation up, to involve people, to close the conversation in the end, and to create reflections? How can we use the virtual space to build momentum and, really just kind of check in with people? And how can we use the space to give people permission to play? And by the space, my core question here is always going to be this virtual space. How do we successfully do that? And so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to put you into some awesome breakout rooms. This is just a quick little warm-up breakout. The goal of this is not to dive, to the end of the earth too deep, but I just want to get you talking and thinking about this. I also was secretly also slightly killing time to see who else was wandering in, because once we go to the experimental platform, it's going to be a very hard place to get out of. So let me just copy those questions really quick. 2 seconds. List of things that I should have done before I started, but that's fine. La la la. Any questions on these questions before we get going?
Yeah,
oh, we've got Go back. Yeah, you bet.
Real quick, when we do this, are we doing it from the point of view as us being a facilitator for a class or us being a leader of people?
So we're thinking about in terms of a workshop. In terms of a workshop, so if you're facilitating a workshop, you're facilitating an engaging experience using Zoom plus whatever other tool you'd like to use. Now, if you're using WebEx training, it's okay. You're wrong, but you're using WebEx training. That's fine. Or maybe your client makes you do it. It's a terrible pity.
It's more because. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just kidding about that. I had a client last week where they switched, they did WebEx training, audio only, no video. And also they had people paired up in groups of 3 sharing computers. It was a non-ideal way to be doing online virtual facilitation. Today, we're going to try to look at some of the more experimental ways we can use Zoom combined with other platforms. We're also in the third part of this session today, we're actually going to be switching over to something called AirMeet and getting to try on another collaborative platform system. Okay, that's in the last third of the session. So these are the questions. I'm just going to toss you into breakout rooms. You got like 3 or 4 people. Just introduce yourself. Quick discussion. This is just to get our brain warmed up. I'll share a couple things with you, and then we're actually going to dive into the experimental space and have a lot of time to play in it. That's really what our session is today. Does that make sense? And any other questions on that? Cool. Let's dive on in, meet some people, network, say hi. I will see you back in this room. I'll make sure everyone's got some people. I'll see you back in this room just in actually about 6-7 minutes. I don't know. Let's give you 7 minutes. I don't want to rush you too much. See you guys all in just a little bit. If you get stuck, let me know. I'll come join your room. All right, welcome back. Just really quickly again, and this is just warming up our brains because it's a Friday, or maybe it's still a Thursday where you are. These things happen. We're time travelers here. If I could just get a couple people to virtually raise their hand. I know it's always nice to do it physically. I love that, but because we're actually on multiple screens here and I can only see 49 of you on the main screen, and I don't want to flip back and forth every 2 seconds, what I actually would like really quickly, if you could just use the raise hand feature. That should be in the bottom of your bar. How'd that conversation goes? Any thoughts on that? Any interesting answers to that? And who do I have with their hand raised? Let me see. We're here, Martin. Hey, Martin, what's up? What do you got? Martin, then Paul.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we had a great conversation. We were 4 people, and we got stuck on the great question. How can we kind of recreate these quick, small chats or nods or confirmations between people in the group while something might go on in the big session, which is very difficult to do with a breakout room because it becomes too formal. Only these quick, instantaneous, small side conversations that we can have in a physical space. So that's a big question, how to do it smooth without breakout room.
Absolutely, and it is very much a real question. We'll also be looking later on today, so we're going to look at one solution. We're actually going to not be on Zoom for most of this session today, which is going to be really fun. We're going to look at one thing, which is AirMeet, but we're also going to look at a really fun implementation on Miro. So that's awesome. Paul, what have you got for us?
In a very broad sense, I think that most of us, especially if we're coming from face-to-face, we relied a great deal on our presence to carry the training, to carry the session. Now, since that's been taken away, we're a little lost. Okay, say, hey, how do I replace that? But coming from the corporate world, when we did training, if I were to measure a trainer, 60% of it would be class time and 40% of it would be, content development. And I think as face-to-face trainers, we forgot that 40%. We tend to look at the content, just cobble it together. I said, I can handle this. Just take
you
off.
can wing it. Yes, it is so much easier to wing it face-to-face. especially if you're
I
like
agree.
experienced doing this.
That's why we got now. Now we got to start planning. It's for us.
Exactly.
I don't want to call it an impossible skill. It's a skill maybe we're not comfortable with. We're just not used to doing.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize. So with a lot of these tools, so there's this assumption that, oh my goodness, you guys are doing it. You know, you must have a lot of experience. In general, any expert right now has 3 months more experience than anybody else. That's it. It is not a big lead time. It's not a lot of lead time. With the 90% of what we're talking about and using, it's just being willing to experiment, play, all that kind of stuff. Teresa, I like that you actually typed, I raised my hand. What have you got for us, Teresa?
I raised my hand because I typed it because I only have 2 reactions, the thumbs up and a clap. I don't have a third. Yeah, I have.
No worries. It's in the participant. This works.
It's okay. This one worked. So I just wanted, so there were 3 of us. There was Louis Chen, Robert, and myself. And Louis made highlighted the tracking in the typewritten, the dictation app. So he says it's very good, especially for tracking speech patterns, intentions, so very good for negotiation kind of facilitation. There was something very interesting that Robert said, that you guys are not really copying from digital to digital or physical to digital, but you're actually you and he are trying to create unique programs that are really starting from the digital space, as opposed to transforming or converting. So that's one of the things we're doing.
Exactly. And it's absolutely. And I think that's the right word. EG put it in there in the side, transforming, not converting. So now I want to make a note. We don't necessarily start with the tools. We do start with the ideas, the concepts. One thing Teresa mentioned is the live transcription that we use in influence simulations. Anyone, if you're actually curious at any point during this talk, you can actually see it. It's that thing in the upper left-hand corner that says Otter Live Notes. It is all the conversation that is actually going on. We use that when we're doing a fishbowl in the main space. It's something that we looked at on Wednesday, I believe. We looked at that on Wednesday. I demonstrated that. You can actually take a look at the video later. But basically, it has a live transcript of what's going on, and it really brings it up into the physical space. It's a lot of fun. Awesomeness. Yeah. So
I had the last one.
Oh, no, sorry. Yes, please, Teresa.
Just 3 more seconds. How do you create that space? I think it's facilitator-led. So if the facilitator is generous and willing to share, then that creates that tone and the space that's carried over, whether it's on breakout or just plenary listening. Facilitator-led. Thanks.
I think that I do completely agree that for starting the fire, I think having really good, strong facilitation to start the fire is incredibly powerful. I think that my goal, at least a portion of the way through the training, is to pass that torch to the learners, to really, really make sure that they're starting their own fires as well. And it's giving them the tools and the capacity to do that in the actual workshop. That really is some of the fun stuff that we're going to be playing with in just a moment. So without further ado, let's do that. Today, we're talking about briefly why this matters. Then we're going to try it on some more, and just close on out with Q&A and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very experimental session rather than a talk session today. There is a tiny bit of talking. We're going to go into 2 Miro boards. One of the Miro boards, if this is not your first session, if you've been to the other sessions this week, you'll recognize our little demo warm-up one. We'll just be spending 5 minutes on the demo one. That's just to get people comfortable with the tools, so we're not freaking out if it's your first time on a Miro board. Then we'll go to the actual space where we're going to be playing and experimenting, okay? But just to give you a tiny bit of background here, spaces do matter, even like for having a conversation. If I'm having a conversation face-to-face with someone like this versus side-by-side walking around, it changes the shape and nature of the conversation. And this is true, of course, in classrooms as well. Churchill was very prescient. He said, we shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us. And a lot of research, so like Steelcase, for example, has done a bunch of research on classroom shapes. And that carries over to virtual places as well. And it does say in the bottom corner, PS WebEx is awful. PX WebEx is awful, because it is. So it's really looking at how can we actually shape the space. Harvard's done a bunch of cool studies on this. I'm not going to dive deep into this now. It's all in the follow-up resources in the article. But they've looked at like how you shape a classroom, I have to move on. Thank you, EG. I have moved. I can't. WebEx is just, EG's typing to me in the chat. WebEx is awful, Joshua, but you have to move on. I know. I've accepted it. So you can tell I haven't actually. But they've even looked like, for example, in office spaces, how we can change the way that the actual office works for cross-pollination, rapid prototyping, depend on how we actually shape and create the space. And I think Kali Malamud puts it well when we're talking about this transition to virtual. She says, our brain extends to the tools we use. We're inseparably linked to the experiences of having a body located in a 3D world. A painter extends, you know, out through their brush. A person with a camera extends out through their camera. We extend out through our Zoom tools. And this is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing when we're confronted with a wall of faces staring at us. And this really can shape a space that isn't necessarily conducive to having engaging and wonderful conversations. It can lead to that awful and terrific Zoom fatigue. So what we want to do is we really want to look at how to change it up. So to give an example of this, where digital can be even sometimes better, my good friend Eleanor, her firm has these like weekly dinners, weekly like cocktail things, and they used to have these face-to-face. What happened face-to-face is people tended to go off into these cliques. They talk to who they always talk to, nobody else. Now that they're doing it virtually online, they're actually talking to new people. Because of the way they've structured it, they're having better conversations virtually in their cocktail parties than they actually did face-to-face. So it is kind of interesting how changing the space changes everything. Yesterday, when we looked at liberating structures, for those of you who were here, in Wise Crowds, simply having someone turn around to the camera and have that conversation changed the entire nature of the conversation. Ultimately, we want to give ownership to the learners, create very visible thinking that builds on it. You can do this without a Miro board. But I do believe that using like a Miro board or a canvas, it's better able to trick the brain. Okay, that's my basic philosophy on this and what we're gonna actually try to do. I love mapping things out. This is the 100-acre woods from Winnie the Pooh, which is super awesome. And as a kid, I always loved, you know, drawing these maps and looking at these spaces. And you really are creating a virtual world when you do this. Ettlinger, when he's talking about, he did this really good book on the architecture of virtual spaces. He talks about Bruegel's Tower of Babel, this painting behind me. And he says, where is the tower? Is it in the painting? Is it in Bruegel's imagination? Or is it in our own imagination? And ultimately, he concludes that to make a painting is to make a possible visible world. By the same token, to create a Miro board is to create a possible visible canvas, a space that we can play on. So without further ado, let's actually try that out. I'm putting a link in the chat bar. You have seen this link if this is not your first time this week. We are only going to do this for just 3 to 5 minutes just to get people comfortable with the tool. Then we're going to pull back to this room here. And then we're going to actually send you for about half an hour into the play space to try on a whole bunch of interesting things. So if you could please. Thank you, EG. It is a space to play. And oh, trust me, we're about to do that. If I could have you click on that link that's in the side chat bar now, click on that link. Step 1 is just click on that link. The super easy step. All right, and I can see that almost everyone is here. 34, 35, 38. I'm watching it count up in the corner. I'll just give other people about 30 seconds to get there. You can see this giant mass of humanity that's coming onto the board. And if you're lost on the board, just seeing a blank space, don't worry, I can gather you to me. Bring everyone to my screen. Yay. All right, we've got 54, 56. So if you can't see this, you should be able to see it on my screen share at least. If you're not able to access Miro boards at all, it will be a little challenging when we go to our next section, but hopefully you will get to enjoy and see some of the things at least. So let me show you what we're doing. Step 1, how to show and hide others. Showing where others are is great because when we go to the next board, you're going to be able to tell where the conversations are taking place because you'll be able to see people's cursors. So look for cursors. Where there's a bunch of cursors, there's a bunch of conversations happening. Simple way to do it. Now, if I want to hide those, I just click on that little hide button. Boink, they're gone. There they are again, and there they're gone. Super simple. How do you zoom in and out? Of course, you can just use your trackpad. But some of us, if we have kind of a crappy trackpad, easier way is simply to use the plus or minus key. That works really well. Or in the bottom right-hand corner, there's also the little plus minus. But honestly, I find using plus minus or the trackpad is easier. Someone's getting ahead of it. That's okay, Grace. You can get ahead. Next up, could you guys just really quickly paste a sticky note? How do you do that? Go over here to the left, click on the little sticky note, and just click a sticky note and put it anywhere. Super simple, super easy. Cool. Just try not to cover the text, ideally, so we can see. You can always resize it. All right, now, can I ask you to resize it? That's number 4. When I say resize it, make it smaller. Don't make it bigger. That's me being evil. Please just make it a little bit smaller. Now you know how to resize things. Oh, yeah, thank you. Someone making a giant size. I know who you are. And could you please just type on it? Really simple. Type on the sticky note. So how do you type on it? Double click on it, and you can type on a sticky note. It automatically resizes. You do not have to be talented or anything. Automatically resizes to whatever. Super simple, super easy. Hello, hello. What's your name? Hi, Joshua. Hi, Joshua. Oh, wow. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all here. Sleepy. That's very understandable. We have some people dialing in at like 3 or 4 a.m. You are champions, and I empathize with you. Pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. Y'all have interesting things on your mind this morning at what is currently 9 a.m. in Hong Kong. So next step up is please copy and paste it. How do you copy paste? Control or Command C, and then Control or Command V. So click on your note, Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V. Thank you for screen capturing me. Oh, good God, that's terrible. Yes, you can. Basically with Miro, if you've got a PDF, if you've got an image, you can literally just drag it onto the canvas and it automatically does it. If you've got a PDF, you can also open it up. It's really fun. Now, what I'd like you to do, so I want you to lock or unlock something. How do you lock? Click on something and click L. Now it's locked. Unclick. Just click L again on it. Super simple. This is the big thing to remember when you go into the board we're about to go into. Please do not unlock anything ever. Feel free to add things. Everything is additive, but not subtractive. Miro does have in their roadmap that they're going to have multiple levels of locking, so I could lock some things that you won't be able to unlock. Mural, which is their competitor, thank you for adding 10,000 sticky notes. Don't worry. The next thing you can do is click Command Z or Control Z, and it will remove that. Whoever just added like the 10,000 sticky notes. The next thing I was going to show you is how to undo something. Undo, apparently we're not going to undo it. That's fine. We have a good group today. So what you can do is to undo something is if you do something, so let's say I want to draw, which is number 8 there, draw something. Hey, there you are. Perfect. Thank you. If you want to draw something, just click on the little draw thing. That's the pencil. I'm going to draw all over, making a mess. But then I'm just going to hit Command Z or Control Z, and it undoes it. So make a mess, and Command Z, undo your mess. Simple as that. Simple as that. Coolness. All right, so that's all the features you're going to need today. That's really, really simple. That's really, really it. The only other one that you're going to need is how to click on a link. And I can show you how to do that when we get to the next room. So I'm actually going to say that you can leave this room. You're welcome to keep playing around with it, you know, throwing things at it. We actually had for the last group, even after the session was done, people kept playing in the room. Feel free. I'm leaving this board open. You are welcome to destroy it and do many, many wondrous things with it. But now I'm just going to bring you back to the main room. Just got a couple points to say, and then we're going to jump on in. There are many ways to shape space. Miro's not the old one. Is Isman here today? I know he signed up. I'm not sure if he was able to make it. Isman, are you here? He just wants the recordings. How dare he? I've been to many of his sessions. Anyways, so in Miro, some of the best practices for this are actually you should look at and follow. We have him linked on my article. Isman Tanuri is a master at organized Miros. I am much less organized, but I still love playing with it. Later today, we're going to look at a couple of other spaces. There are things like Remo. There are things like Worker. There are things like circles. And if it feels like I'm going really quick on this, it's because we're not going to be playing with those a lot today. But there are links to them in the toolkit. Go play with them. They're different tools that allow you to have different conversations. Circles, for example, it puts 10 people in a literal circle, and you step into the middle of the circle to have a conversation. Worker is a 2D office where when you click to different rooms, a video pops up. Remo is a digital conference room. You are going to get to try that a little bit later in just a moment. So that's it in terms of that. We're about to go to the play space, and I do just want to give you a couple quick guidelines before we go there so that people do not break the universe when we do go there. So I'm going to pull this up on the main screen. I'm going to do the rare beast and actually screen share. Oh, Sokoko. Sokoko is, well, it's expensive for one thing. Someone's typing about Sokoko in the side chat bar. It's okay. I like the potential of Sokoko a lot. So the rules of the laboratory. Yo.
Oh, I was just going to say, there was a great comment that if anybody's on a phone or a tablet, if you download the Miro app, it does make using it a lot more functional.
Yes,
we recommend computer, but if you have to be on a phone or tablet, get the app.
Oh, full confession. Yes, we recommend computer for the video portion. For the Miro app itself, if you do have a tablet, it is absolutely fantastic on a tablet, but it works really well in a browser. I'm going to make the suggestion that when we go to the next room, if you're on a single screen, you'll want to have two browser tabs basically side by side, evenly divided. And I'll explain why in a moment. It'll be very simple for that. If you're on multiple screens, or if you have a tablet, do download Sidecar and allow yourself to turn your tablet into a second screen. So, rules of the lab.
Joshua, you're on presenter mode.
Is it? It always does.
There you go.
So that's one of my favorite flaws with Zoom is it doesn't accurately tell you which one it's screen sharing on always. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So the rules of the lab, breathe, stuff will break. If you don't get angry at least once in the next 30 minutes, then I have done something wrong. I promise it's not you. It's because we're going to do some experimental stuff. Jitsi is the video tool that we're going to be using in the next room. A lot of things are based on Jitsi. For example, if anyone's familiar with Toasty, underneath Toasty, the video in there is actually Jitsi. It's an open source tool. When Jitsi stops working, so when you go into a Jitsi video room, sometimes you'll be like, oh, I can't hear anybody. Oh, they can't hear me. Literally just click reload, and 99.9% of the time, it fixes it. Reloading with any browser-based video program is your friend. Just reload the tab. It almost always fixes it. If not, mea culpa, my apologies. You're going to, in a moment, I'll show you what I mean by this. You're going to click the small link to click hello to join any video room. It's bad design in Miro. It's one of the few bad design elements. I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. When we go to the Miro board, and I'll tell you when, we're going to ask you to actually turn off your Zoom video and especially mute your Zoom microphone. Because if you're still in the Zoom main room microphone, everybody's going to be able to hear you, and that'll be a little bit challenging. We will be monitoring the Zoom chat, though, as a back channel. People are wondering what this means. Feel free to add things, but please don't unlock or delete anything. Close the tab on your browser when you leave the space. I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. Look for cursor clusters. Where there's a lot of cursors, there's a lot of conversations. And if a space has like a do not enter sign on it, just wait a bit or move to a different room. That's actually the only rules. Without further ado, because I know it feels like it took forever us to get here, let's actually go to the space. Stop sharing. Cool. La la la. We are going to spend 30 minutes in this space because it is a fun space to play in. All right, it is unlocked and it is good to go. Copy public link. I'm going to put the public link in the chat sidebar. I'm going to ask you as step one, if I can ask you just to follow that link. And I'm going to ask you, pretty please with sugar on top, don't start clicking around yet because I want to show you the space. It is now available. It is now available. Oh, Francis had to bounce off. He has a training this morning, actually, in 15 minutes. Francis is awesome. So that's the link. This link will be available forever and ever, so you can play with this a lot more later. The video rooms as well. Now I'm actually going to go to it, and I'm going to walk you through what's about to happen. You do not need to turn off your video in here yet. Let me share screen. La la la. Come on. There we are. All right. So 45 of you have made it there. I am actually going to, so I'm going to show the cursors. We got a bunch of people. You're all over the place. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to gather you. So I'm going to gather you to me. Bring everyone to me. Come here. Okay, cool. Welcome to our absolutely insane space. These are all rooms. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to turn off your video and your audio in the Zoom so that it's not carrying in the background for all of these rooms. We have a bunch of stuff here. Each one of these is a room. All of these link directly to rooms, a debate room, a Zen room. Let me turn off your cursors for a moment. A viewing room, a DIY room, a laboratory, which is just some really weird stuff, a dance party, an art room, conversations, and problem solvers. I'm not going to walk you through all of these rooms now. There's directions next to each one, but let me just give you some examples of what we've got. So for example, the viewing room, I click here, takes me over to the viewing room. How does any room work? Now, by the way, if I need to get back to the center, I click on the link that says back to the center, and you got me, and you got that stuff right there, okay? So back to the viewing room. What I've got here is I've got the description. Join the video room. Now notice, I've got 2 video rooms here. Why 2? Full confession, we normally only have 1, but we have so many people here today, I didn't want to get the rooms overstuffed. So if you go into a room and you're like, oh, good God, everybody's here, feel free to go to another room and just open up a new one of the rooms. By the way, how do you tell where everybody is? Again, follow where the cursors are. That's where they physically are. You can see people moving around. It's like bees or ants moving around the screen. So if you see a ton of people gathered around a cursor, that's probably where a conversation is. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to join a video room. Yes, it is that little silly thing in the corner. That little tiny, not this, don't click on the hello, but in the corner of the hello, that little tiny thing. That is bad design. You should just be able to click on the hello. I'm hoping Miro fixes it someday, but c'est la vie. Click on that little corner, and what happens is it actually pops up a room. Oh my God, it's an actual video room. Now, if you don't see the video pop up, you may need to click on a pop-up that says allow video, allow audio. Oh, somebody just joined me. You don't need to join me yet, but thank you for doing so. Look at that. That's hilarious. All right, I'm gonna mute this one. And you heard that echo? That echo is the exact reason why as soon as we go to this space, I'm going to ask you to turn off your Zoom audio because otherwise it's everywhere, echo, echo, echo. But it doesn't happen if you've got your Zoom audio turned off. So I clicked on that. If for some reason it doesn't work, upper right-hand corner, just make sure that your device is allowed. So just, click on that little thing in the browser bar or click on the pop-up that says allow video, allow audio. If for some reason it still doesn't work, just click the reload button and I promise it will. So what are you doing in this room? You're actually watching videos together and discussing. So you click on a video and it's usually 2 clicks. You can make it full screen if you want, but just talk to people, choose a video, watch it together. That kind of stuff. It's just, it's a video discussion. How did it make you feel? This is an example of what a station could be. Like if you were doing learning stations, that's an example of that. Let me go back to the center. We're going to go back to the center. I'm going to be hanging out in this main room, this AMA room. If you got questions, click on that. Feel free to talk to me. If you want to leave your LinkedIn profile, you're welcome to add a sticky note and leave it on here. If not, no worries. That's fine. You don't have to. It's just if you want to share with people. Let's go take a look at the debate room. Same idea, join the video room, always join the video room, choose a debate question. Some of you are debating, but some of you actually get to be observers. Here's the evaluation for the debate. This is demonstrating how like a pop-up type form works. You can actually evaluate the debate. What's the topic or question? All these things pop up and go. So it's a single shared space where everything is. If it gets too full, you can always tell people to go away. To do that, really, really simple. Just take the sticky note, move it off. It says, wait a moment, please. Back to the center. Not going to show everything here. Conversations. You remember this from yesterday if you were here. I even gave you a little crackling fire to have in the background as you have your conversation. There's a couple different rooms for this. You can also do it here. You can do it here. And if you get sick of those conversation cards, I also have pop-up other conversation cards that you can use just by clicking on that little pop-up. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is all the different ways you can embed. Now, if some of you are going, oh, good God, this is overwhelming, relax. You will get angry. Play with the space. Just play with the space. Experiment with it. Give yourself permission to not have everything be perfect. Problem solvers is similar to that Troika consulting we did yesterday. Take a sticky note. Okay, somebody just don't move things. Thank you. I love you all, but please do not unlock things. That is locked for a reason. Do not unlock things. If you unlock something, Control Z, Command Z, and put it back. Thank you. Anyways, for this one, all you need to do is take a sticky note, put your challenge on here, and then you're going to be in the video room talking to people, getting advice on it, similar to what we did yesterday. And of course, because problems are so easy to solve in the real world, when your problem is solved, you can stick it in the done pile, because that's how quickly we solve problems in the real world. I'm not going to show any others. Last but not least, the lab over here. This is a weirder space that is new for this session. It's got a video room as well. This is where you can actually create stories and tell stories to each other using the cards. Oopsie, I need to make sure that the cards are in front. See, you got to always remember these things. Bring forward. Cool. Now the cards will be on top. So it's a three card story. Just pull your cards. If you think the images are a little weird, Robert chose them, blame him. Up here, this is more just self-exploration. These are all different HP5 files that have been embedded just to demonstrate to you all the different crazy things you can embed and just to really give you a sense of what is possible in a Miro board. You can actually even embed dice. This is not a workable game, but just to show you how it works. Or if you really want to go to our very skeuomorphic Jurassic Island, you can go just have one-on-one conversations. Each one of these is a video room. Yes, there's a T-Rex there. Yes, there is a unicorn with a rainbow there. Just have some fun. That's a mouthful. I'm coming back to the main room. Are there any questions before we get the show started? Thank you, Sari. I promise, trust me, you're about to get really frustrated, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So any questions before we get started? Apparently, no. People are already going. So this is my big request. Under pain of death, pain of suffering, do not come off mute in this main Zoom room. Because right now you're hearing the voice of authority. I'm talking to all of you, even though you're in your individual breakout rooms. That's super, super, super annoying. If you want to talk to me, come to that middle room in the middle and click on the little link. Let me just show you one more time where it is, just so we're not getting lost. It's just over here in the middle. Click on the Joshua link. I'm going to open it up now so it's open in the background. La, 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 la. That's me. I'm going to be here. I'm going to stay here. If you can't see me for some reason, the chat in the Zoom will remain open. If you need help, type to us in the chat and Robert or I will come find you. Just tell us which area you're in. We'll come find you. Please do not come off mute in the Zoom room. And on the count of 5, I'm going to go on mute in the Zoom room. And I'm just going to be in this other space. It doesn't mean you need to leave the Zoom. It just means that the space that we're playing in from here on out is going to be for the next 30 minutes. And there'll be a timer at the bottom, is going to be this space over here. All right, so welcome back. We've just got a couple of minutes left. Again, we will be closing at 10 for the official session. For those of you who would like to stick around, I am going to toss over it. If you want to play around with the space, I'm going to toss a link in the side chat bar in just a moment. The link is that I'm tossing in the side chat bar is to an air meet. That's very similar to a Remo, and it is a virtual networking space. I'm just going to toss it over there just because a lot of you have not seen it, and it's something that's kind of fun to experiment with and play with. But don't worry, if you don't have time, don't feel like doing it now, it's fine. It should be fairly self-explanatory. It is a fun little networking thing. So in the side chat panel, I've also tossed my LinkedIn. Do feel free to connect with myself or with anybody else. If you've got your LinkedIn, you want people to connect with you, feel free to toss it in the chat sidebar over there. We love connecting with people and building a community. Quick reminder, we have a book. We've got a free toolkit. We have a free online class as well as a Slack community. Again, emphasis on free for all of these beautiful, wonderful things. You will be getting a follow-up email with all 5 of the videos from this week. All of those videos will also be on the free online course. I do want to give a big, huge clap for everyone here today. Thank you guys for being awesome. You are fantastic human beings. It is technically 10 o'clock, but I'm going to stick around. I'm going to answer questions. For those of you who do want to actually go and play in a space, just in case you're curious, I've typed this AirMeet link in the side chat bar. It's open. There's probably nobody over there right now since I just stuck it over there. but you are all welcome to go and visit it and play around with it. We're out of time for the official stuff. So that's the end of the official session. For anyone who wants to come off mute, feel free to come off mute and share what your experience was, share what your questions are. Yeah, I'm going to stick around for the next half an hour for anyone who's got questions. But otherwise, thank you all for being awesome. Our goal today was really to get you thinking about these core questions of, how can we actually go beyond the Zoom? How can we create something that shapes conversations? How can we involve people, build momentum, and give them permission to play? I'm not suggesting you use all of these tools all at once. That would be pure madness. But I hope at least you've gotten some ideas on how you might create a little bit different spaces in your own virtual facilitation. And that's the kind of goal for today. Coolness. I'm done talking. Feel free to come off mute, share your thoughts with the community, or to ask questions, either one. Rosh, what have you got for us?
Yeah, Joshua, I've got to do a workshop on WebEx in 2 weeks. Yikes! But
I
anyway,
do one every week. I give it.
I know you
I crap
feel
on it
me.
all the time, but it's
Yeah.
I feel your pain. We do it every week, so yes.
Okay, so in this workshop, I do prefer people to have videos on. So, Zoom is definitely a better space where they can go in and have the videos on. So would this be the alternative then to actually create like Jitsi for them to then go over there so they can have the videos on and interact with each other? Would that be the workaround?
Yes, with a big caveat.
Okay.
Make sure, just like with Miro or Mural or any of these links, got to make sure that the client's IT doesn't block it, or that the client says, hey, use your personal devices. So we've sort of got 3 levels. Open season, no, actually more like 4 levels. Open season, everything's available. Slightly less open season, Zoom, Miro are available, but maybe they've turned off a couple features like chat or something. We have some clients that turn off the chat. Lower level, where they're like, okay, use your personal devices, which actually I'm totally okay with. Lowest level, you are locked into just using WebEx training or Teams or something and nothing else. There's different levels. We make it work no matter what the level is, but it would not be entirely accurate to say that the experience is identical at those 4 levels. It's not. But, we've all trained in banquet rooms at a hotel where the lighting is bad, the tables are dirty, it kind of smells funny, and the projector barely works, but we still make the experience work.
Yeah.
I can't lie and say it's exactly the same, but it works.
Okay, thanks.
And Rosh, feel free to loop in with me anytime next week if you want to brainstorm on that. If you need any help, more than happy to.
Thank you.
But yeah, always, never trust that any of these links will work in a client's place. Always have these things pre-tested. It's totally random what IT blocks or doesn't block. Anybody else? Questions, comments? How was that experience for you? Yeah, man, I love taco, otherwise known as Jordan Vinicorn. That's a nice new nickname.
I didn't write that.
I'm privately harassing our friend Jordan.
So I'm at my parents' house, and their internet is not the absolute best. And so once we went, we had the Zoom running, plus the Miro room, plus we went into the third-party Jitsi, right? Like, doesn't that, I think that being able to communicate verbally with the people in the Miro is important. I think it's a collaboration, but does that have a super huge demand on bandwidth?
100%. So we do not recommend doing all. So we were doing it here because it's an experiment. If I'm using Jitsi breakout rooms with my clients, for whatever reason I'm doing that, my starting point is a Jitsi room. I don't even go to the Zoom. It's like, we're going to start in a Jitsi room. And it's always, dogmatically being like, when you move from room to room, close the tab. I am a tab junkie. I have been known, anyone who's actually, Bob will tell you this, Robert will tell you this, I'll have like 45 or 50 tabs open. So don't do that. The more tabs you've got, it especially with slower computers, it's going to choke it. But as long as you teach people basic tab hygiene, you got 2 tabs open today. You've got your Miro tab and whatever active video tab you're in. That's it. You'll be fine.
So could you do like Zoom breakout room and then collaborate on the Miro board?
On the Miro board? 100% yes. 100% yes. And the two challenges there is one, I have to move them from room to room if I'm doing the normal style, or if I use the co-host trick where I make everybody a co-host, they can move themselves from room to room, which I greatly prefer. But the way Zoom has made that work has changed with 5.0. It does still work, but it's slightly more annoying. So I have to walk people through it. Meaning, like, if I put you into breakout room 2 and you want to move to room 3, you can. But then when you're in room 3 and you want to move to room 4, you got to go back to room 2 and then go to room 4. It's so annoying. It does totally work. It does totally work, but it's one more step of walkthrough that you've got to work with people. I do actually prefer doing it with Zoom because I love the video feature and how smoothly it works here. It's great. So I'm not saying go and use Jitsi. It's just something that you can all go and experiment with.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm curious. Is there anyone actually in the air meet? Yeah, no one's in the air meet. That's fine.
Joshua, we had a quick chat. The CL asked, how long does it take to prepare a virtual session? I replied, it really does depend on what we want to get done, how many resources we have to create. But did you want to comment on any of that?
Yeah, it totally depends. Like today was, someone called it a Disney World, a virtual Disney World. That, oh yeah, Michelle was at the Air Meet. So I encourage you, click on the Air Meet thing. Almost no one's there. It's just if you want to look at what another virtual space looks like without having to pay for it, go take a look and poke around. It's literally tables where you can move around. I can also suddenly go up on the main stage and be like a conference speaker. I'm not doing that right now, but it's, sorry, just give me 10 seconds. I'll put the link in the, let me put the link in the chat sidebar again. But yeah, let me answer that question as well. I promise I still have the question. Yoink. So that's the Air Meet. I'm going to share my screen just to show you what it looks like super fast. So this is the actual Air Meet room that we got going on here. So these are all, oh, you can see someone's actually there at the table. That looks like, I'm going to zoom in. There's Lewis. Hey, Lewis. I'm going to grab a seat with Lewis. Now, look, Lewis and I are popping up. I'm not going to turn my audio on here, but it's going to pop up and actually we'd have a little video chat going on here. I've turned that off. So if I turn my video on, oh, I've got the wrong camera on. That's my fault. I can switch that. Doesn't matter. But I'd be like, hey, Lewis, how's it going? And we could chat or we could talk here. Oh, there were actually a bunch of people in the room. Hey, that's kind of fun. Anyways, yeah, you get the idea here. I'm gonna leave this because I don't want to be in this room right now. But it allows you to freely move from space to space, have conversations. I could go up on the main stage and also do like keynotes. There's also a speaker's back room where I could prep my speakers before they go on the main stage. It's more for conference type events, but it's a fantastic tool similar to Remo. Currently, it's free. So to answer your question, CL's question, like for example, liberating structures didn't take any time to prepare because the board spaces were pretty much created through the user interaction. But if I was doing like a space like I did today, it takes a lot more time. So it really depends how much is user generated, how much is just moving sticky notes around, and how much is stuff that I need to pre-prepare. So there isn't a short answer on that. The one thing I would say with Miro, as well as with Mural, there's something called the Miroverse. There's a ton of free sessions in design thinking and team building that have already been created. It's a template where you can literally take that template, copy and paste it, and use it as your own. So like use the free templates as a starting point. It's a great starting point, especially if you're doing design thinking, agile, any of that kind of stuff. There is a ton of free stuff there on the Miro or on the Mural where they encourage you to use their templates as a starting point. I give long answers. Sorry, it's Friday. My brain dies. Anybody else? Questions, comments, thoughts? Hey, Rosh, what's up?
Sorry, one more question.
No, never apologize.
Is regarding the conversations that are happening in that space that we did earlier. Would there be any concern? And it was a question that was actually brought up by Manisha in my group about privacy.
So not so much. The reason why is, so actually, oddly enough, Jitsi was invented by security researchers. So that's kind of fun. So feel free to give a Google on Jitsi. It's considered as an alternative in terms of security. It randomly creates those, so you saw those weird words in the URL. Every few seconds, it's randomly generating one of those. Plus, if you want to add an extra layer, you can actually password protect every single one of those rooms as the person who creates them. So between the randomness of, it's not just guessing a what is it, a 9-digit number. It's literally guessing 3 or 4 randomly generated words that are stuck together. The odds of someone breaking into that room are non-existent. And if you're still worried, you can also add a password onto it. So it's not a concern. It's actually incredibly secure.
Thank you.
No worries. Who else? DJ. And by the way, if I'm not seeing your hand raised, please feel free to leave a note to use the actual like hand raise feature or to put it in the chat, and I'm extremely happy to answer. But DJ, what have you got? Or question, comment, song?
Yeah. Hi, thank you. This was, no, not song for sure.
Yeah, me either, don't worry.
Yeah, thank you. This was more fun than I thought. But we raised something in my breakout room earlier. So for example, in a big conference, right? What are some ways that you suggest that we avoid like lost floating people in the bigger space? So yeah.
Like for a conference specifically?
Yes. So like here, everyone really took responsibility in exploring all the rooms. But for people who are put together by their company, for example, to join.
Correct.
Yeah. So how can we make sure that everyone is like fully engaged,
safe, secure, and not disappearing?
And not
completely understand. Yeah, exactly. So for that, I would want to have a more controlled space. If it's a smaller event, I would use Zoom. If it's a larger event, I would use either Remo or AirMeet as my platform, because everyone is tracked. Like in AirMeet, you saw that thing I bounced over to. There's nowhere else they're going. Yes, they can move from table to table, and you can label the tables based on the breakout rooms, but they're not getting lost. They're all there. And with AirMeet or Remo, if it's a conference event, I can actually take over their screen and do the full screen video. So their breakout temporarily closes, and it's my video taking over as like the keynote speaker. So no one's going to get lost that way. You can combine AirMeet with a Remo, with a Miro canvas in the background. So if you're doing a larger event where you want it much more controlled, AirMeet plus Miro, fantastic combination.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
No worries, DJ. Lewis, I see that you're off mute. What's your question, Lewis?
No. So when you say Miro can be combined with AirMeet, are you saying that instructions can be put in each table for people to follow?
It's getting there. So it's getting there. So I would actually put the instructions on the Miro canvas, as we did here today. I'd do the instructions there, but whatever number is, so I'd have there's a breakout room. So on the tables, you can have a number or a title, and I would have that connected to whatever on the Miro canvas. So that's the way you create that mental connection there. Miro, by the way, is actually currently in collaboration with Zoom. The reason why we chose Miro over Mural is they're actually working on a partnership. So there's going to be deep embedding of Miro and Zoom coming up soon. Not there yet, but it's coming up soon. Thank you, Jacqueline.
What does that look like?
I am also, we don't know yet. So actually, I was on the phone. Oddly enough, I was on a Zoom with Miro this morning with the actual community managers there. We will soon, later on this month or next month, we're actually going to be with a couple other people leading the first official Miro community APAC event. So looking forward to that. You'll all be invited. So there's already Europe, EMEA, and North American events. There is no APAC events yet, but it's coming up. So we just concluded we got the thumbs up, and we're going to be hosting that. I got to kidnap Isman and make him join us on that as well, because he's a Miro guru. But yeah, so did I answer your question, Lewis? It's Friday. My brain's drifted off after this many sessions. Cool, thumbs up. Anybody else? Questions, comments? We still got 43 in the room. Hey, all. This is being recorded. If you just are here to listen to the questions, I am still recording the questions as well. So no worries. What we cut off, this is actually going to be the shortest of the videos as well, because we spent so much time in that magical far off space. That's not being video recorded because you're in like 20 different rooms. But the board will remain open, a cleaned up version of it. We will probably do another one of these later on, probably next month, if we have a gap in space. Probably not 5 in 1 week again. So the reason we did 5 in 1 week is because this was the week of ATD Virtual Conference. So we wanted to support that because it's awesome. also we're sponsoring it. And
you mean support it or distract from it by having our own webinars?
Hey, we're doing ours at APAC friendly times, okay?
Oh, I know. I've been up at 3 a.m. on.
You've been going to like
a
lot of the ATD ones. You've been going to some of the live ones that are like, well, because they. So by the way, the ATD virtual event, if you didn't do it, it's still not too late. They have over 100 on-demand videos, and everything they've done been recorded. It's not super cheap, but also not super expensive for the quantity of material you get. It's so many cool videos, so much. I've been going through them slowly, and you get continued access after this. That's
like,
not a sales
I think
pitch
for
again.
like 2 months after. Is that right?
For 2 months after. Yeah,
months,
exactly. Yeah. Or if you just want to see my ATD video, of course. We did actually post that. That's in the free online course. You don't have to pay anything to go see ours. But if you're sick of seeing us and want to see other people, we're not posting other people's videos. Obviously, we don't have the rights to that. That would be evil. But we are posting ours.
Well, you do actually have videos of other people.
What? What are you talking about, Robert?
Some of the interviews.
Oh, the interviews. Yeah, we're posting our interviews. Anything that we've done, we've got the rights to. We're not stealing stuff from anywhere else, though. Our stuff is posted for free on Radically Remote. Yeah.
We're just downloading like Tony Robbins videos and putting them up as our own.
Wait, why would we do that? He's weird. He's got like giant hands. He's no. Tony Robbins is an exceptionally good speaker, but he creeps me out so much. But he is a good speaker. There's a lot of charismatic speakers who I don't necessarily endorse or recommend.
Neural, were you trying to say something? And I see Gina's
Robert.
hand up as well.
No, you're not. We're not going down your dark rabbit hole, Robert. I'm muting you.
Okay, I just want to share my experience. I use both. Initially today I call in using my mobile phone, and then we get into my role, and then I get lost. Okay, fine. So I log in also using my laptop now, so you can see two of me in this. But that's not my point here. So I explored Dixie using my laptop just now and tried to get into the room, and I was asked to add another app, which is called Dixie Meet, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, so I cannot get into the room until I have Dixie Meet, which means, right, if we are a trainer or facilitator and want to use Dixie, we need to know which device our participant is going to use, whether this person is using a laptop or using a mobile phone. Or maybe we want to dictate, okay, everybody must use laptop, otherwise we will have a different experience, So I guess that's my learning. So if people are using a mobile, then we need to tell them in advance, like you did wonderfully in your email. Hey, if you're using your mobile app,
exactly,
you must install this app as well. Then I guess you will have a little, you have to concern less about the technology, because our class there are people who like to explore, or just blur. This is just my learning, It's just interesting.
No, and it's such a real and human learning, because that's going to happen in the real world. What we've set up, actually, New Rule, for our real workshops, what we do is we have a type form which we pre-send out to people. So type form, the reason I like them is it lets you do branching paths. So it asks, what device are you planning to dial in on? And then it sends you to a different answer. Like if you say phone, it says, really? That's a bad idea. Do you have a tablet? Do you have a computer? Anything else? But it gives you the directions based on what your choices are. And it gives you, it also gives you a chance to test it out. So we always, with any of these kind of spaces in the real, like a real workshop, if we were using Jitsi, we would always let the participants test it out before they came to the session, so that during the session, the technology is disappearing to the background. Today, oh my God, it was so much about tech. But in the real sessions, it shouldn't be about the tech. It should be about the experience. Today, I warned everybody. So if this is your first session with us, this was the most geeky, labbed out tech version. The previous sessions were trying to make the tech disappear to the background. Today was specifically about let's experiment and see what's possible with digital spaces. But you're absolutely right, 100%. Anytime you're going to use tech, let them try it before. Otherwise, pure nightmare. So thank you, Nurul. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks to you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. No, of course. Gina, you've got your hand up very patiently for a while with a beautiful background. Can I pivot to you?
Thank you so much. Question, I guess I'm sort of kind of asking you to name drop, but often client organizations say, oh, we're not really sure about this, who else is using it? Clearly we're following in your footsteps. Have you got a couple of names or
who uses
sort
Zoom?
of groups? well, Zoom and this whole kind of setup, people that are doing it well. So we can say, oh, well, big companies like this or this, that they're really into it. So then that can make some of our sort of more timid organizations say, okay, maybe we should be in this.
Sure. I without name dropping too many, I can give you 3 examples of different levels of awesomeness. So using Zoom, but blocking Miro. So that'd be an example. So 3 different levels, different companies, different experiences. It really depends on who we're working with. But we do it all with all of them, and we adjust it depending on that.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no worries, Gina. Happy to. Anybody else? Questions, comments, poetry, improv? Yes, Louis.
I've got a quick follow-up.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Miro is used by 80% of the Fortune 100s. It's also used by Netflix, Cisco, Spotify, Upwork, and Twitter.
That's true. Yeah, so there's actually Miro talks about who they work with. It is used extensively. It's only blocked by a couple people. Miro is couple do, just because it has upload features, and there's a couple of finance institutions where are like, oh, if you can upload anything to this, danger, 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 and that's fine. One of the workarounds is so the question to always ask a client, all right, with the Miro board, would it be okay if people dialed in on their personal devices? Because on their personal devices, they don't have any access to their corporate documents, so it removes a lot of those challenges. And at least 80% of our clients go, oh, yeah, they can do their personal devices. And you go from like a total stop sign to oh, well, yeah, sure. And you just are like, oh God, why didn't I ask that question before? Doesn't always work, by the way, but it does work a lot of the time. Louis, you had a question.
Yeah, this one is about Otter. In the free version, can you still do what you did that day, which was live mapping of?
Yes, with a slight lag. So the workaround with that is you have to download a program onto your. So as the facilitator, no, this is not for the trainers. Sorry, for the participants. Louis, you would want to download an app, whether you're using a PC or a Mac. So I won't tell you specifically what app. I'm using Audio Hijack, but there are hundreds of apps that do this. Something that records all computer sound. Because with Otter, it's recording from your microphone. But if you're in a Zoom with Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff, the different microphone sources get mixed up and confused sometimes. So you'd want to have a like Audio Hijack or whatever app you want to use, recording all sound that's coming into your computer, so all voices. That creates an MP3. In Otter, you can quickly upload that MP3, and it just takes about 5 minutes to process. So there is a gap. You need to build that in. So in that case, what I would do is I'd record it in the plenary. I'd be having them have a conversation, and in the background, I'd be uploading that MP3 and letting it do that. So build it into your workflow that they've got a breakout. And then when they come back from the breakout, you've got that shiny transcript ready for them. You can do that with the free version.
All right, thanks.
It's a workaround. It just takes time. It just takes a little bit of time. Usually it's available in 1 to 5 minutes. Every once in a while, though, when systems get backed up, you can't depend on it, and it could take 10 to 15 minutes to transcribe.
So in the paid version, I don't need this software? It automatically does that?
In the paid version, I have linked it with my Zoom, and it's automatically transcribing live in the background. It's currently free for the next couple of months because it's still in beta. But then it's gonna charge you an arm and a leg. We work with a number of clients where we're trying to be as supportive also of live subtitling. Because we do have people who are, for example, hearing impaired that we're working with, and we want to have that live transcription to make it as accessible to as many users as possible. Yes, that costs us money, but we are really obsessive about trying to make this, even virtual spaces, acceptable to people who are getting, not having access to that. Now, to be honest, a lot of our friends who are hearing impaired or are deaf or something, they do have software on their own computers which does this transcription for them, but in case they don't, we want to make it accessible. Gina, you had another question, or is your hand just, is it, oh, no, you don't. Okay, sorry, your hand was still showing raised. I wasn't sure if you'd raised it again.
Joshua, we've got a good one here from Sundar, asked about,
what's up?
About business simulations, and is Miro and Jitsi combination, or is there another immersive medium like Second Life? I started to reply and just said it really depends on the type of simulation.
Yeah.
If you just want role plays, where we did that earlier this week in the Simulations and Simulations workshop, you know, breakout rooms, or even if somebody has a problem, calling each other on the phone, it is a workaround. But if you really want to get more immersive, there are a lot of different combinations you could use.
Yeah, and you see I'm screen share over here because Darwin took what was, so Darwin earlier, we just had this, so this is a free game that's from the 2030 Sustainable Goals. So again, not something we're illegally copying. This was not designed to actually be used. I was just using it as a quick little demo of what could be done, because you got your little dice that pop up here. But Darwin actually took it upon himself to make a whole bunch of cards. These were not here. I didn't make these. Darwin made these during our little breakout today. Which is hilarious. He also made pieces that you can move around, so you can take you can take your piece and move it around the board, that kind of stuff. So, that's more like a board game example. But exactly what you said. There's negotiation simulations. It really depends what kind of simulation you're talking about. Harvard has their influence simulations, which are actual software you can have people using, but that's like $150 US per seat. Now, some corporates would go, oh, $150, that's cheap. So that's fine. If you got your clients and they want to pay for that, that's awesome. But there are a lot of cheaper ways to use business simulations. It really depends. Martin, I think he left already, but Martin is he still here? Martin still here? No, Martin left. He was on earlier. Martin's one of the people that was in the couple programs. He's licensed for like Selemi and Sesame, which is a couple different things. They do online business simulations as well. It really depends what you want to do. Miro combined with Jitsi is a great option. It's all about thinking about the space. Sorry, that sounds like a cop-out answer, but there's too many. Business simulations is such a broad category. By the way, Chunchek, I love your video. I actually know the artist who makes those. I follow his Instagram. I love his looping videos. They are so addicting.
I do too. You know what these remind me of? Back when MTV was still cool and playing music videos. Yeah. That's totally the kind of background that they would put on the blue screen or green screen behind the VJs.
Totally
awesome.
Love it.
So
awesome. I never even thought about downloading his stuff. Does he actually have a separate page where you can download them for Zoom backgrounds?
Vimeo.
On Vimeo, cool. If you've got the link, toss it in the chat sidebar, because I hadn't even. I follow him on Instagram. I hadn't even thought about downloading his stuff as fun backgrounds. That's super.
Yeah,
awesome.
let me send his Vimeo to the Zoom.
That is badass.
There you go.
Good choice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I follow his Instagram. Like, yeah. What's up, Lewis?
I just had a thought. I went to a site, Catalyst Team Building. They actually have now remote team building that's quite interesting through their videos. And they have apps and stuff and all of it. And they work as teams to, do world scavenger hunts or run away from someone or do innovation. It's quite interesting. You guys can check it out and see if you can get some ideas there as well.
I will. So I've checked out other companies that are doing it, where they're doing like the virtual scavenger hunt. There's also like the ones that are doing like the there's like the You Don't Know Jack board game, but they're video game. Yeah, I love it. Chunchek's smiling already. He loves that. But there are like, not that I'm suggesting you should do Cards Against Humanity with your participants. That would be a terrible idea in a corporate space. I cannot emphasize that enough. A terrible, terrible idea in a corporate space. But in terms of the way that they've got some of the online structure set up, there's a lot of different ways to do it. What was the other one I was going to share? There's even like for murder mystery parties, like murder mystery parties. If you Google like online murder mystery party, there's companies that are doing that now. I encourage people not to do a murder mystery party with their clients, but to actually go and see what's being done in these online spaces to get inspired by how they're setting up their dynamics. Because there's a lot of ways, just like Lewis is talking about. If you type in, online team building, online, etc., there's a lot of companies now that are really beginning to push and experiment in this space. Not cheap necessarily, but go and get inspired by their dynamics. Yeah, totally agree with Lewis. That's awesome. Anybody else? Gina, I do love that you've got your random human like appearing in the background by the canoe, flashing in and out. They're in like the water. Yeah.
Joshua, we do have, we have a tool, but we also have a link to a free download It's like a wordplay game called Wordner. I'll put that in the chat
I know
box.
Wordner. That's awesome. I didn't know that they had a free online version. That's cool. Yeah, put it in the chat box and share it with the human beings.
Yeah, you sprung me. This is Alex.
Hey,
Alex.
Hi, Alex. Welcome to Tina's boat.
Yeah, that's it. We're on the jetty.
I like that. It's a good jetty to be on.
It is indeed.
And Tassie?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else? Questions, comments, all that kind of fun stuff going on. I could actually go onto my boat as well. I'm going to pull up my boat in the background. All right. I'm going to switch my cameras and actually turn my boat on. Choose my virtual background. It's always good when I talk to myself. Perfectly healthy. That's my actual background. There we are. And now we're both on a boat, Gina. Yeah, this is Snap Camera. Totally fun to play with.
Fantastic. We are loving it.
I love Snap Camera. I use this all the time for just using with my nephew mostly, to be very honest. My nephew and my niece. But we do use it sometimes to make points about things. Like for example, Zoom has too many eyes. Too many eyes. Sorry, that's bad. We'll put on my outfit. There, now I'm going for the Elton John. Where's my favorite though? There we are. Cat on the head. When in doubt, have a cat on your head for the rest of the session. Which is now on video. This is canon. Anybody else? Questions, comments, etc. I'm just going to keep a cat on my head for the rest of the day. Cool. If there's no other questions, go get dinner, go get lunch, go get whatever time of day. How is Mural? Mural is awesome, Sunder. So a lot of platforms, it's a lie when I say that I equally prefer them. Mural and Miro, it really is just a personal preference. It truly, truly comes down to personal preference on that one. The community in Miro is great. The community in Mural is great. And I wish that they didn't sound identical almost. The templates on both of them are great. The features on both of them are great. There's a few tiny features that are different. There's a few features on Mural that I wish I could steal from Miro. There's a few features on Miro that I wish I could steal from Mural. But honestly, they're like in an arms race, but it's a positive one. It's not like one of those negative, creepy ones, because both communities actually play back and forth, and they both are making amazing software that is, to be honest, almost identical in what it does. Just play around with both.
And
I
Joshua,
slightly prefer Miro. Yeah,
I'm gonna put the Mural walkthrough video in the chat. So it's, if you want to just see me walk through it, and it's really similar to Miro. But
yeah, so put that. Bob will show a walkthrough. Yeah, you should be able to do embedding of videos in Mural. There are some embeddings that don't work as well in Mural, but there's a lot more fine-grained ability to lock the different layers. Like I can have better facilitator locking of elements, so I don't have to mind the board as much. That's coming in Miro. I promised it is coming. It's not there yet though. So, like for example, that follow me feature where I could bring you all to me. That was invented by Mural, and Miro did copy it finally last week. So
one of my big ones that I like in Miro is that you can upload a PDF and it allows you to go through page by page embedded in Miro. Mural only lets you have that first page, so you'd have to go and separate it and then upload.
You have to download it and separate it. Yeah. What's nice though with Mural though is, again, the way it does some of its linking is more powerful. Oh, and we have just been joined by Mark. Hey, Mark, did you get kicked out, or are you just joining now? Because the session is done. This is just the after session Q&A. Welcome, Mark. I don't know if you got kicked out and you just rejoined, or if you're just joining now. If you're just joining now, Mark, my apology to disappoint. The session is done. This is actually, it finished at 10 o'clock. This is like we've just stayed out and we're hanging out. This is just the Q&A after. It's actually fun. Throughout the day, I'll get people joining on the link like 8 hours later. Totally cool. Mark, this is the after party. Exactly, Gina. This is the after party. Oh, Mark just left. I was going to tell Mark that we're sharing a video of all of this later. So Mark just joined and literally saw me with a cat on my head and was like, what that? This is not a serious session. Yeah, this is fine. I'm just going to scare people away with a cat on my head for the rest of the session. Any other questions for the after party before I go and get my breakfast? I love the cat too. It's not the only thing I use, but it's a fun one. It's my nephew's favorite. Also like to go underwater sometimes. That's a super fun one.
Get to raise my hand.
Oh, have a nice day, Gina.
Please speak freely.
Oh,
Is
hi.
that Mary Len? Hey, Mary Len, what's up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering because you've been doing a lot of amazing series on how to bring digital, physical spaces to digital space, right? So I'm just wondering.
It's a mouthful of a title.
Sorry. So I'm just wondering if you also run like programs where you train the trainers, because we've also discussed that yesterday with Sukling and
we do
Tony,
do TTTs. Yes, we do TTTs as well. It's one of our 15 core programs is a train the trainer program.
So train the trainer virtually. I mean, how they can actually go about training remotely.
Correct. What we always recommend, because we do actually like people doing free things first, we recommend, so even in our train the trainer, as part of the pre-work, we send people through our radically remote asynchronous one, which is a free self-paced class. So what we do is we actually use that in combination with live sessions where we're giving people feedback. People are doing projects, they're getting peer feedback, our feedback, they're going through templates and basically doing what we're doing. But if I'm not actually encouraging people to do paid stuff, I'd say go do the free stuff first. If your company or organization does want paid stuff with Train the Trainer, hey, we're happy to do paid stuff. We love doing that. But we always do encourage people to go explore the free options first. And then if you do want to have paid sessions, hey, yeah, reach out to us. We do that. And of course, you can totally take me seriously because I'm wearing this mask.
Okay, thank you. And normally, how long is the Train the Trainer program?
So it does actually depend on how close to zero we're starting in terms of ability. If people have some, so for example, we've done where we're training SMEs to be virtual facilitators. So subject matter experts, people who are maybe good presenters, and that's a big maybe, and definitely not experienced with facilitating. So we're taking people from zero to from oh my God to pretty good. That takes one level. If they're already good face-to-face facilitators and just need that help with the virtual space, so it really depends what the level is. And very honestly, we have a conversation with them. So we've got a session we're doing later this month with one organization, for example, where it's I think it's 3 2 to 3 hour virtual sessions spaced out like one a week that we're doing with them. And in between, they're doing assignments, they're doing peer stuff. They're also using our asynchronous platform to do the asynchronous stuff, so that I'm not just talking to them during the virtual sessions. The virtual sessions are focused on their hands-on. Hey, I know what you've got in the background there. I've actually been there. That is in Abu Dhabi. That was for a moment. Anyways, that was the Louvre in Abu Dhabi you had in the background. Good space. So if that makes sense, Mary Len, it really does actually depend. So it really does depend what we want to do. So it's a blend there. It's a series. So if people are already pretty experienced, we do that. We split it over a couple of weeks. So they've got assignments, group stuff. They're doing the asynchronous stuff so that they're maximizing the face-to-face on group work and lots of trainer feedback, lots of actually trying stuff on. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries, Marilyn. La, la, la. And if you're a nonprofit or an NGO, it's a sliding scale, so it's much cheaper. If you're a big old corporate, then yeah, that's different. But if you're a nonprofit or an NGO, we are like crazy flexible with any of that, because we really like working with nonprofits and NGOs. We actually dedicate, I think it's like 10% of our time each year is free pro bono training to nonprofits and NGOs. So with nonprofits and NGOs, do not be afraid about cost. We are super flexible on that if you're a nonprofit or an NGO. If you're a corporate, well, that's a different conversation. But go do the free stuff first. Always go free first. Free. Take the free stuff.